Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Benji-Sales live chat. It's so good to be back. It is so good to see everybody. Hello, everyone. Boy, do we have a great stream ahead of us today. We have so much to talk about. Should be a really awesome, really exciting stream as long as my internet holds up. As you all know, and I know some of you were very frustrated, which I understand, endless internet issues on my end, and yeah, last week's stream completely just died at one point, like completely died. So hopefully the internet holds up today. I pay for literally the best internet in my area, so I'm not sure what's going on. I need to get someone in here to look at it. I literally can't pay for better internet than what I have right now for where I live. So hopefully it holds up. But anyways, this is going to be a great stream as long as everything goes holds up on my end. Because boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So what are some topics we can talk about today? The October NPD sales results did just drop today. There's a bunch we can talk about there in regards to hardware, in regards to software. Metroid Dread had a giant launch. We actually got numbers from Nintendo, so we can dive into all that. Don't worry, I'm going to break it all down for you here in just a second. Forza Horizon 5 has had a gigantic launch for Xbox, the biggest ever for Xbox Game Studios. We can dive into that. What does it mean for Microsoft? What does it mean for Xbox? What does it mean for Forza? And on and on. Game Pass, all that goodness. We can talk about all of that and so much more. So for anyone, if this is your first time ever as part of my live chat, basically the way this works, this is a stream that's 100% driven by you, your comments, your questions. We basically just break down the video game industry and dive into the big topics of the week. Now, there's going to be two ways to do that. First of all, of course, there is the free method. You just type a question, it drops it down into chat, and I get to as many free questions as I possibly can. However, if you want to 100% guarantee that I get to your question, the way to do that is going to be the super chat option. Type a donation of whatever you want, it alerts me, and I hit super chats as soon as they drop. However, as always, don't feel pressured, don't feel obligated to donate in chat. Just a way to help support me and the channel. I do get to tons of free questions as well. All right, so start filling that chat up. Start dropping all of the comments and questions you got. So anyways, let me really quick break down the NPD results, and then I'm going to start getting to all of your questions. So, in terms of hardware, Switch was the best-selling platform for the month in both units and dollar sales. Now, keep in mind, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are more expensive than Switch, so that means Switch sold a lot, and we actually got data for that. So we know exactly how much Switch sold, because in a rare move, Nintendo released PR, and I can see why they did, because they had huge results. So Switch hardware sold 711,000 units. Now, also we got 314,000 of those were OLED consoles. So 711,000 for Switch. That's an amazing, that's just in 1 month in just the US. So great result there in terms of hardware. In terms of software, number one, Far Cry 6. Far Cry, that's a great result, to be honest. Far Cry 5 was huge. We didn't get any data for how far down it was from Far Cry 5. I imagine it definitely did not match Far Cry 5 sales, but we don't know exactly how much. But still, no matter what, number one for Far Cry 6, so great result. Number two, this is really impressive as well. Back 4 Blood is at number 2 for the month. Great result for a brand new IP. And one thing worth pointing out, it was number 2 on both PlayStation and Xbox. So it hit number 2 on both platforms, and that's with being available on Game Pass. It was still the number 2 best-selling game on Xbox. Number 3, Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread had an amazing result, okay? Amazing. It's the biggest launch ever for the Metroid franchise, and Nintendo actually came out and said it sold 854,000 units, so almost a million in just the US in a month. For a 2D Metroid, that is literally incredible. So amazing result there for Metroid Dread. Number 4 was Madden 22. Number 5 was Demon Slayer. Number 6 was FIFA 22. Number 7 was Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 8, Mario Party Superstars. Number 9, NHL 22. Number 10, NBA 2K22. Number 11, Mario Kart 8. 12, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. 13, Ghost of Tsushima. 14, Smash Brothers Ultimate. 15, Animal Crossing. Number 16, Minecraft. 17, Spider-Man. 18, Diablo 2 Resurrected. Number 19, Mortal Kombat 11. And number 20, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So there's your top 20 selling games for the month. And then the last little piece of nugget of data I'm going to go into before I start jumping into your comments and questions was Forza Horizon. So what do we know about Forza Horizon 5 so far? Well, we actually got some data. So early on in the week, we were getting signs because the game has an in-game tracker, right? So we were getting signs early on that this game was gearing up for a huge launch, right? For anyone that follows me on Twitter, I always tweet out the best-selling games of the week on Steam, and we had seen signs that pre-orders were very strong. It was placing very high in the top 10 before it ever even launched, and even before the early access. Just pre-orders were hitting in that top 10. Then we got signs that early access was going great, right? So if you paid money, if you bought the $100 Ultimate Edition, or if you bought the cheaper edition of the game, or not cheaper, if you're a Game Pass member, if you paid $45, you could get early access to the game plus some DLC. And anyways, we had signs it was looking really good, right? Really, really strong. So, but then the in-game tracker started ticking up. Anyways, to make a long story short, here's what we got. So in its first day, right, just day one, including early access, so early access and launch day itself, we had over 4.5 million players. That's the biggest launch ever for any Xbox Game Studios game ever. It tripled the highest number that Forza Horizon 4 ever hit for peak concurrent users. It has hit the second highest concurrent players of all time for a Microsoft Studios game on Steam, only behind Halo Master Chief Collection. And where we stand now, it's over 6 million players. We're still in its first week, and we haven't even hit the weekend yet. So, I mean, incredible result for Forza Horizon 5. So yeah, we can talk about that too. I see a bunch of questions down into chat, so let me start diving into those, and let's get rocking, everybody. Okay, Timmer72299 with a 2 super chat starting us off, saying keep being awesome. You keep being awesome, Timmer. Thank you so much for always being in chat and always being so supportive, man, and keep rocking on Twitter. Plastic Arts Podcast here with a 5. Benji Boy, how is Forza 5 this freaking good? What do you think about Playground's open world tech in regards to Fable? Also, can they provide a good story? Great question here, Plastic Heart. So first of all, Forza Horizon 5 is literally outstanding. I mean, it's unbelievable quality. Playground has proven that they are without question one of the most premier studios that Xbox has, right, in their first party. They've had 3 consecutive games score over 90 on Metacritic. Now, granted, it's the same genre, and they're all racing games. So the big question, like you asked, Plastic Hearts, can they transition that to a totally different kind of genre and a totally different type of game, right? One with a strong story, right? If it's Fable, it's an RPG. Now, Fable's a little silly. It's a little funny, right? It doesn't take itself ultra seriously. So it's not like Fable's story is going to be The Last of Us Part 2, right? Or Ghost of Tsushima or something like this. But, you know, it still needs to have a pretty strong story. It is an RPG. It does need to have a nice hook, even if it is playful. So it's a totally different type of game, right? A third-person RPG, action, swords, and magic type game compared to, you know, what we've seen out of the Forza games. So that is the big question. Can they transition that? First of all, in regards to the tech, I mean, Forza Horizon 5 to me is the best looking game on the new consoles, along with Ratchet and Clank and Demon's Souls. Those 3 games to me, if you have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, or you have both, if you want to see like the latest and greatest, the best visuals we have so far on the new consoles, to me, those are the three. It's Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Demon's Souls. Those three games are just unbelievable looking. And so Forza joins that as like the best looking games on the new systems. So we know, and from what we hear, that is the base technology probably going into Fable, is that open world engine. Obviously, they're going to change it a bunch. But I believe that is the word, is that they are using an advanced version of the Forza Tech engine, obviously with major overhauls. But considering how amazing that engine looks in open world, and I think we all assume Fable's probably going to be somewhat open world. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. But I assume, given Playground's pedigree and what kind of games they make, probably fairly open world. Even if it's like maybe different open worlds, just giant hubs, hard to know. But probably some type of open world going on there. Yeah, I mean, it could be amazing, right? To me, I have no doubt the map's going to be incredible. No doubt the technology is going to be incredible. Can they, though, nail a good story? Can they nail magic? Can they nail swords? That's going to be the big question. If they do, let's say that Fable is as good as Forza Horizon is, not only will Playground elevate themselves into, one of the best studios that Xbox has, in my opinion, they will elevate themselves to one of the best studios in the entire industry, regardless, right, of anywhere. And this is assuming Fable's a huge hit, right? Because right now, we only know one franchise. But if they can get a totally different genre working as well, I'm not telling you they're the best studio, but one of the best, I think it'd be without question. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And then we have a second super chat here from Plastic Hearts, another 5. Thank you so much, Plastic Hearts. Does Forza Horizon 5 success hurt or help the next mainline Forza Motorsport? Lots of new fans coming to play the franchise, wanting an arcade-style gameplay. Again, another great question, Plastic Hearts. Here's what I think. I actually do think Forza Horizon 5 doesn't hurt the next Forza. I do think it actually elevates it because, and just wait, because I have something else I'm going to tack onto that. But you're getting, a ton of new people interested in Forza that probably traditionally haven't been, that are trying Forza Horizon for the first time. So I do think in terms of like overall, right, is it going to boost visibility for the next Motorsport? I do. But here's one thing I do want to say. I don't think that Forza Motorsport is going to perform anywhere near what Forza Horizon 5 has, right? They're totally different types of games. They're both racers. But Forza Motorsport's like a true simulation racer. It's going more for that Gran Turismo type feel. Whereas I think a more arcadey, open world, they actually call Forza Horizon a car RPG, which does make sense if you've ever played it. I think that just has way more appeal across a broad audience than something like a hardcore simulation racer. So I do think it will help the next Forza Motorsport in terms of visibility, eyeballs, getting people to install the game. But I don't expect Forza Motorsport to overall be as popular as Forza Horizon. All right, so that's 2 super chats there from Plastic Hearts. Thank you so much. Holy cow, I think we have 3, a third from Plastic Hearts podcast. Holy cow, you don't have to do any more Plastic Hearts. That's 3 in one chat. It is all but confirmed Halo Infinite and maybe all first-party Xbox titles will have some sort of free-to-play early option like Forza Horizon 5 had. I do think so. I think, honestly, out of what it appears was massively popular, this option. So I made a tweet and I said how this was a bit of an experiment for Microsoft doing this early access. And what I meant was it was a bit of an experiment specifically with a Game Pass game. They'd done early access before, but they hadn't really done it like tied directly into Game Pass, where if you paid extra for that DLC premium option, you got early access while being a Game Pass member. If you remember, they had early access with Game Pass Ultimate for Gears 5, but you didn't pay anything extra for that. It was just if you were an Ultimate member, you got early access with Gears 5. What made this interesting was it was really the first game that we saw while launching day 1 on Game Pass, where you also had an option, hey, also with your Game Pass, you can wait to play it launch day for free. Well, you know what I mean, free, or you can pay for this premium access and get it a little bit earlier. That seemed to be a huge success. It hit over 1 million players before this game actually officially launched. Now, keep in mind, not all of those are going to be the 1 the $100 premium edition. A lot of that probably was also Game Pass members paying that $45. But this is just an extra way for Xbox to get a lot more revenue and a lot more money out of people that are just going to play this game on Game Pass without buying the game. I think it's really smart. And I don't think it's that anti-consumer. You see some people like upset about it. But here's the thing. It's only a few days, and it's not interfering at all with you being able to play the game on Game Pass on launch day. Like the day the game actually fully releases, right, that you can go into a store and buy this game, that's when you get access to it with Game Pass. And it's just a couple days early, and keep in mind, you're not only paying for early access. If it was just, hey, you're going to pay money to get early access to this game and that's it, it's identical to the Game Pass version, I think that would be ultra anti-consumer, and I would not be supporting that type of thing. But keep in mind what you paid for here. The early access is like a bonus. You also get like the 2 upcoming expansions that are going to be for the game, the car pass for the game. So you're buying a bunch of DLC, and you're getting basically the early access as an added benefit. I don't see that really as that much of an issue or that anti-consumer. If you just want the game, you can still play it the day it launches. But yeah, I agree. I do think Plastic Hearts will do this now for many, many games because it's just a way to get extra revenue, right? Extra revenue out of people that are just going to install the game on Game Pass, right? I paid for it because I was like, hey, I'm probably going to get these expansions down the road anyways. Might as well pay for it and start playing the game early. So I think so. Yeah, I think you'll see this out of pretty much all first party. Maybe not everyone. Keep in mind, there's going to be like single player only games that come out. I don't know if you'll see that, for example, with like Hellblade 2. But I would say like anything that's a big online type game, yeah, you'll probably see it. Anthony Johnson here with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Anthony. Since it's been out a year, what do you think of the Series S sales? Would it have been better to just have a discless Series X similar to PS5? Actually, Anthony, no, because Series S is way outselling X worldwide. Way outselling X. So the question is, why is that? This is a really weird situation, and I have a theory on why this is happening. So, couple things. First of all, it's just flat out true that due to the parts that are in this, you can make more Series S's than X's on a production line right now, right? So that's actually kind of working out for them in that the way it works, they can just make more Series S with all these chip shortages. I also, though, do believe that Microsoft has been stockpiling for the holiday, Forza Horizon, and Halo Infinite. This is nothing new. You see console manufacturers throughout history do stockpiling at times. If there's a really big game coming up, you can only manufacture so many consoles at a time. If you want to make sure you can get a lot of consoles out at once for this big new game launch or for this holiday period, you kind of build that inventory up, right? And then you ship it out to actual stores once you're ready for those sales. I think, and I do not know this for sure, but I think Microsoft may have been stockpiling some Series X consoles, preparing for Halo, Forza, and the holiday, so they could get more of those on shelves for that like big first party launch period. We do not know that for sure. What we do know without a doubt is Series S is greatly outselling Series X right now. I don't think that has anything to do with demand, actually. I think there's way more demand for Series X than there is for S. But right now, Microsoft can just send more S's to stores. So at least as of now, okay, we'll see how this ends up later in the generation. Once we're like 2 to 3 years in, maybe Series S sales will completely drop and fall off a cliff then. But for the first year, actually, I do think Series S was actually a good idea. Just because they've been able to get more of those out into stores than they could X's. So it's helped the overall install base. So for year one, I think Series S was smart. Again, will it seem smart in a couple of years? I don't know, but it was probably the right call, at least for launch period. And we'll have to see. Like I said, if you see a big increase in Series X by percentages in like November and December, that to me would definitely point to what I was theorizing there, that Microsoft was stockpiling X a little bit to get ready for those big first party games. If S is still greatly outpacing X in November and December, then clearly it's just a production issue with X, right? If it's still going that way, it's all about production. But if X all of a sudden storms ahead, you can probably guarantee that there was some stockpiling going on there. Benji here with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Benji. Benji, any ideas what happened with Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Collection? I did not expect this at all. A PS2 game has issues on all platforms. How come Rockstar releases a game in that state? Yeah, this is surprising. Apparently, the Grand Theft Auto remasters are not good. Some of the screenshots, I have not played these to be very clear, but some of the screenshots I'm seeing and like the feedback about like frame rates and stuff, I'll be honest with you, for a company as wealthy as Rockstar, it is shocking to me the state they put these out in. And I do have a big question, Benji, if this is going to hurt sales. So right when that was announced, right, as soon as you get this announcement, you're bringing back these classics, you know, they're going to be remastered. This is before we saw anything, before people were playing the game. Like, your instant reaction, seeing how big Grand Theft Auto is my God, this is going to be giant. One of the biggest games of the holiday, no question about it. But now, I do wonder if word of mouth is going to really hurt the sales potential of these games. Keep in mind, launch no matter what is going to be huge because everyone people aren't going to really have word of mouth out. That kind of thing takes a little bit of time. And Grand Theft Auto is such a big brand that no matter what, launch sales are going to be giant. I do wonder, though, if the Grand Theft Auto remasters have not that impressive legs, unless they get some really good patches out for this thing. Because it's almost like overwhelmingly negative feedback that I'm seeing online about these. Frame rate issues across the board, lots of really weird character models and stuff. So we need to see. Again, not a doubt in my mind, Benji, that launch is going to be huge for these. But those legs, that's a real wild card. Had these been super high quality, I would have had zero doubts about it. But they seem rough. They seem really rough. So they need to definitely patch that thing. And how come it released in this state? Only thing I can think of, Benji, is not a lot of effort went into it. I mean, and keep in mind, I'm not saying lazy devs. I'm saying in regards to like overall resources, right? They only have so many resources. Clearly, a ton is still going into Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. A bunch is going into Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. And as we all know, even though it's not announced, they're in the middle of making Grand Theft Auto 6. So, like, that's a ton of freaking resources right there. So it could just be, frankly, they did not put enough resources behind this. You know, I hate to say it, but given the state they launched in, that would be my guess, right? Not a lazy devs thing, just they probably should have put a little more effort into it than what they did. But yeah, that's some thoughts on it, Benji. Carlos Alvarado. Do you see more digital sales on Xbox versus physical? Yes. I actually mentioned this in the last live chat. And we actually got some data that came out that supports what I was saying. So Xbox, by percentage, historically, sells a higher digital percentage of games than PlayStation does. I've heard this directly from third parties that have literally told me that make games on these systems, and I've seen data for it. So again, is this every game every time? No. Is this like, you know, a locked in thing just across the board forever? Xbox is going to sell more digital than PlayStation? No. However, by and large, right, in the grand scheme of things, does Xbox typically, and again, we're only talking ratio. I'm not talking raw units, right? Even if Xbox has a higher ratio, like percentage-wise, of a game, that doesn't mean once you factor in digital, magically now it sells exactly as many units as the PlayStation version does or more, right? Typically, the vast majority of the time on third-party games, PlayStation's selling more units overall, even with Xbox having a higher digital ratio. But what it does do is that a lot of times when you see these physical charts, again, this is why always I caution around reading into physical only charts, because there is so much data that is not there. So one thing I want to point out that actually reinforces this. So we just got this data out of the UK for last week, actually, for Far Cry 6. And listen to this. It's kind of shocking. Okay, let me pull this up for you. Give me just a sec. And you'll see why I want to bring this up. And I'm glad you asked it, because this is literal data for Far Cry 6. And again, this is just one game. I want to tell you that not every game has a big split. Sometimes maybe they're the same, but by and large, Xbox does sell a higher percentage ratio of digital. So here we go. Listen to this. So for Far Cry 6, and you saw Christopher Dring tweet about this too, for who handles a lot of the UK messaging on that, about how Xbox does sell higher digital. So listen to this ratio. So for Far Cry 6, okay, Far Cry 6 in the month of October in the UK, PlayStation was 43% digital, Xbox 66. We're talking 53, 63, and over 20% difference in ratio there for the game. That's huge, right? PlayStation, 43% of all copies of Far Cry 6 in the UK. PlayStation had 43%. Xbox, and again, this is only ratio per platform, not total sales, but Xbox 66. That's a giant difference. Again, is every game going to look like that? No. But by and large, Xbox has a higher digital share on games than PlayStation does. Tons of theories around why that could be. People in the Xbox ecosystem maybe are just more used to buying digital. Microsoft was a bit ahead of Sony in terms of like online and that type of thing. Obviously, Sony has greatly caught up, but there's a ton of theories you could have around that about why Xbox typically sells more digital than PlayStation. Tons of theories, but yeah, there's one example for you that's straight up UK data for an entire month on one of the biggest games of the month. 43% PlayStation digital, 66% digital on Xbox. So again, keep in mind at the end of the day, PlayStation still sold more units of Far Cry 6 than Xbox did. It's just, it's not as giant of a gap as the physical charts tend to look. JCat with a super chat. Oh, wait, we had two. Sorry. Let me get to Brock first. Brock with a 2 super chat. With old Grand Theft Auto remasters out, will we see Red Dead 1? I do think so, Brock. I think they are going to remaster Red Dead 1. Here's what I'll say, though. I hope they do a lot better job. Now, Red Dead isn't as old of a game. And I'm assuming you're talking about Redemption, not Revolver, because you said Red Dead Redemption 1. So I think we're talking about the same thing. That's not as old of a game as the Grand Theft Auto remasters were, right? Those were PS2 games, whereas Red Dead 1 is 360. So I think that will probably actually be an easier undertaking to remaster because, you know, those other games were so old, right? Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, they're so old and on such old technology that to get those looking good is going to take a ton of effort, right? It's going to take a whole lot. So I suspect Red Dead 1 is going to get a remaster. I suspect it will be a better remaster than what these were. So yeah, hopefully, right? Hopefully they put a bit more effort into it. And given it's a newer game, still pretty old, but newer, it should be overall easier for them to do than those games were. JCat here with a 5 super chat. And great to see you, JCat. Thanks for always helping mod the channel. What is the market share split between Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation in the US? Oh, I'd have to pull all that up right now. Off the top of my head, I don't actually know the exact percentage. There may even be someone in the chat right now that can drop that exact percentage for you. Off the top of my head, I seriously, I don't know the exact share. Right now, Switch is obviously very far ahead. PlayStation's ahead of Xbox, and then Xbox is in third. So, but exact percentage off the top of my head, JCat, I don't know that off the top of my head. Somebody can probably pull it up. And I apologize at me, JCat, since you dropped the super chat so I can get you another question. Just because I don't have that off the top of my head. It would take me a second to pull all that up. So just at me another question, JCat. But yeah, your basic split is going to be Switch is way ahead, not even close, in terms of total install base. Then it's going to go PS5, and then it's going to go Xbox. Xbox and PlayStation are fairly close. PlayStation has a decent lead over Xbox, even in the US. So there has been months, I can't go into details on this. Xbox has outsold PlayStation in the US and NPD. It has happened. But the vast majority of months, PlayStation's outsold Xbox. All right. I think super chats are clear for now, so let's start rocking into some free questions. Biglow25. Hey Benji, how high do you think Halo Infinite can go since it looks like Forza Horizon 5 is about to reach 7 million players last time I checked the leaderboards? I'm expecting over 10 million week 1 for Halo Infinite. How much over that remains to be seen, but 10 mil. It's going to do over 10 million. I can almost guarantee you that. So, you know, here's the thing. Is Halo Infinite going to be as good, like as high quality of a game as Forza Horizon 5? I'm super stoked for Halo Infinite, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm doubtful about that. I'm really doubtful that you're going to see a 90 plus Metacritic for Halo. Here's the thing, honestly. A mid 80s Metacritic at this point would be a win for Halo, and here I'm going to explain why. This is not a joke, this is not an exaggeration. Every single mainline Halo, every single one, every mainline or numbered Halo has reviewed worse critically than the one before it. Seriously, Halo 1 has the highest. Then it's Halo 2, then Halo 3, then Halo Reach, then Halo 4, then Halo 5. Literally every single game drops on Metacritic over its predecessor. Halo 5 has, I believe, an 84 Metacritic. So for me, in my boat, if I'm 343 or Microsoft, a mid 80s or high 80s meta would be a huge win, right? Because at least you're breaking that streak. Do I expect this to get 90 plus? I think it's almost impossible. I think media are going to be really tough on Halo Infinite, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that in terms of like an anti-Xbox thing or anything like that. What I mean by I think they're going to be a bit tough on it is Halo is kind of seen as like the flagship Xbox title. And traditionally, like, Halo is what made Xbox. So when you have that kind of pedigree, it's going to come with high expectations. So, dude, right now, Forza Horizon 5 is the highest reviewed game of the year, and it's at 92 Metacritic. I don't expect that at all out of Halo. For me, if it gets like 85, 86, that would be great. And I actually, if you wanted me to make a prediction, I think it'll be the worst reviewed Halo ever. I think it's going to come in at 81 or 82. Now, I don't think fans are going to feel that way. I have a feeling Halo Infinite is going to be way better received than Halo 4 or Halo 5. But I could see this being low 80s and being the worst reviewed mainline FPS Halo ever. So, reviews, it's not going to have that type of momentum that Forza does, where it had just incredible reviews, 92 Metacritic, and driving all that hype. However, it is way more online focused and FPS, which is a bigger genre than Forza Horizon 5 is. Don't get me wrong, Forza Horizon 5 has a huge online component, but it is a racing game and you can play that game completely single player. Halo Infinite, like, it has a huge campaign that's important to it, but it has that gigantic free-to-play multiplayer, and it's completely free-to-play, unlike Forza, which you had to be either a Game Pass member or buy the game. You do not have to spend $1 on Halo Infinite to play it. This game is going to get over 10 million players week one. I'm literally telling you that. It's going to be over 10 million in its first week. Now, the question is, how much higher can it go over 10 million? That I have no idea, right? And will it keep those players long term? Again, I have no idea. It will be the biggest launch ever for Xbox in terms of player counts. It's going to go over 10 million. Over that, I literally have no idea. All right, Benji here. Hi, Benji. Any early projection for Elden Ring? Big. I mean, the hype is already incredible. It might be the best-selling game of early 2022, right? Well, here's the thing, Benji. It's going to be a tight race between that and Horizon Forbidden West. Might sound surprising to you, considering Forbidden West is only on PlayStation, but Forza has become not Forza, I said Forza because Horizon, but Horizon has become an enormous IP. Keep in mind, my expectation is that Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West performs in that area of the biggest launches ever for a PlayStation Studios game. Yes, I think it's going to be up there with the Last of Us Part 2s and the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans. I'm expecting that. So I'm fully expecting it to hit into that 3 to 4 million range in 3 days or even higher potentially. We need to see. But put it this way, this game's not doing less than 3 million in 3 days. Might even get to that 4+ million range. Now, Elden Ring is probably going to be the biggest launch, I think, for any From game ever, right? I do expect this to be the biggest From launch ever. However, even being the biggest From launch ever, it's going to have to significantly be the biggest From launch ever to be bigger than Horizon, even being multi-platform. All you have to do is go back and look at the data. Even if it performs way better than Dark Souls 3 or Sekiro, it's going to have to perform a lot better than Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro to be bigger than what Forbidden West is going to put up. If I had to make a prediction, And we're really early, so allow me to change my mind as we get closer. Elden Ring might edge it, mostly because of PC. There's not a doubt in my mind if you combined PlayStation and Xbox sales of Elden Ring and directly compare that to Horizon, which one will be bigger? I think it's going to be Horizon, honestly. I think Forbidden West will be bigger on console specifically at launch than those two, even factoring in Xbox sales. But PC is the wild card here. From games are really big on PC, so that makes it an interesting race. And there is Pokemon. I'm very curious, though, how Pokemon's going to be received. It doesn't look that good to me. I hate to say that. I really hate to say that. We're talking about that Arceus game or whatever. The concept sounds good, but the game itself, I'm really worried about the quality on. It's going to be one of those three. It's going to be one of those three. It's going to be either Elden Ring, Pokemon, Arceus, if that's how you pronounce it, or Horizon Forbidden West. And that's tough. That's tough to really outright say which one of those it's going to be. Honestly, that's an interesting race. Interesting. But Elden Ring is going to be the biggest From launch ever. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be the biggest From Software launch of all time. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss no super chats. I don't think so. Red Dead series. Hey, Benji, have you tried the Quest 2? Yes, I have one. I have the Quest 2 and the Quest 1. I recently got it just to play Resident Evil 4 VR since it's in my top 5 games of all time, and I'm really having fun playing it in VR. Great to see a Red Dead series. I have not played Resident Evil 4 VR yet. I've actually heard it's an excellent version of the game. I love my Quest 2. I play it all the time. I'm like a Beat Saber guy. I play Beat Saber like crazy. Right now I'm on a bit of a break of Beat Saber, but put it this way, like when I'm in my groove, I play Beat Saber every single day. I love Beat Saber. But I haven't played Resident Evil 4 VR yet. I hear amazing things. I love Quest 2. I think it's absolutely an amazing piece of hardware. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan. And that's good to hear that Resident Evil 4 VR is good. Like I said, that's what I was saying. I heard it's really good. Big Nabs, we need to discuss Series XS consoles accounting for only 11% of Call of Duty Vanguard. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Big Nabs, y'all need to stop running with these physical-only splits that come out of the UK. You guys have got to stop. It's not accurate. For total sales volume, for physical sales, it is accurate. Now, let's get into this a little bit. Am I surprised that Vanguard is by far selling better on PlayStation? No, and there's a prime reason for that. First of all, PlayStation has a bigger install base. Something, again, people just ignore when they want to talk about splits. If you have more consoles in there, you're going to sell more games. I don't know why people always act like shocked that a PlayStation, like that multi-platform game sells more on PlayStation than Xbox. Of course it's going to. They literally have a bigger install base. Like 2 times, right? Close. It's actually not 2 times right now, but let's say last gen, right? When you were looking at last generation, there were literally more than 2 times as many PlayStations out there than Xboxes. More, right? Significantly more. That right there guarantees you on most games, you're probably going to look at double the sales on PlayStation just based off raw install base. Then you factor in the factor that Xbox sells digital games flat out. I just gave you that example with Far Cry 6. By and large, not always, a bigger percentage digital. So again, will that make up the ground? No. PlayStation on almost every multi-platform game is going to sell more than Xbox. Forever, right? Unless something crazy happened and Xbox outsold PlayStation, which I just outright cannot see globally, PlayStation's always going to sell more units. Then you factor in something like a digital split being potentially higher on Xbox, and then in the case of Call of Duty Vanguard, this game has PlayStation marketing, right? Call of Duty is associated with PlayStation now, and they have been for years, right? All marketing, all messaging, it's all about PlayStation. So no, I mean, again, none of that surprises me. I'm telling you, with digital, I highly doubt that Call of Duty is 11% on Xbox. It's probably going to go up more to maybe 20-something%. Maybe. I don't know that for sure. I don't want to give you an exact, this is for sure what's happening. But there's so many factors in this, and this is why I actually went on Twitter in the first place. Like, this is the whole reason why I've become someone on Twitter talking about video game sales. There's so little nuance in the discussion, and there's so little, fully breaking things down. They just see a headline and people run with it. So again, will PlayStation have sold the vast bulk of Vanguard copies? Yep. Does it make sense to me? Yep. And is it probably actually 11% on Xbox? Probably no. But again, there's a lot of factors. Justin Tanhill, do you think Unity acquiring Weta Digital will be a huge step for the platform and game development in the game industry moving forward? Weta Digital is a digital visual effects company that worked on the special effects for movies such as Lord of the Rings, Planet of the Apes, and Avatar. It's definitely big, Justin. And here's one thing to also piggyback off of this. Keep in mind, we also have seen Disney start utilizing Unreal Engine for a lot of stuff, right? Like they used it in The Mandalorian, for example, whenever they were filming with that. This is nothing but good for the video game industry, seeing this type of thing happen. Here's the thing, it's just more money that's going to be coming in flat out, right? Weta Digital is massive. That's going to provide even more funding for Unity and everything they do, which can only mean enhancements on their own engines. Same thing with Unreal Engine, right? If you're getting paid a ton of freaking money by Disney to be able to use Unreal Engine and Mandalorian, that's just all more funding that you can use into building the engine, getting more, high quality work in there. So yeah, Justin, I think it's nothing but good news. Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of money to be made in Hollywood, whether that's making movies or TV shows or anything. And the more you start to see engines get used in that, obviously it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Like what they're using in The Mandalorian for the Unreal Engine isn't necessarily something that will 100% translate to real-time gaming graphics, right? However, there probably are learning lessons there that Epic can take away, or in this case, Unity through Weta Digital. There's probably some learning lessons they can take from that. And also you have the added benefit of more funding, more money. So yeah, it's good. It's very good. Very, very good stuff. John, do you know how well Call of Duty Vanguard has sold compared to other Call of Duty games? And do you think Battlefield 2042 will sell higher compared to other Call of Duty game launch weeks? So John, we don't have direct info yet. So keep in mind, there has been no PR about this game yet. We'll see if Activision puts any out. They almost always do. If they don't, that would be highly concerning because they basically always have PR for Call of Duty. So keep your eyes out in the coming days if they give you any PR for that. I will say the early signs don't look that good. So this game, and again, we're gonna talk about how you cannot say for sure that this is 100% relevant, but we're gonna bring it up, and then the game in Japan by far had the worst launch in forever for a Call of Duty game physical sales. Again, you can't base everything off physical only charts, so we need a little more info before we can say for sure. In the UK, again, we're looking at big declines, right? It's a decline from Cold War, which was a big decline in physical units from Modern Warfare 2019. But again, how much did digital make up those gaps, right? This is physical only charts. It's so hard to say when you look at just physical only what the actual picture is. It's why you don't see me cover much physical only charts. Very rare you see me tweet out, hey, this is the exact physical copies of games sold, right? Very rare you see me tweet that nowadays. I don't cover the UK charts as much as I used to because physical only charts are becoming way less relevant. And by the end of this generation, physical only charts will be almost irrelevant. I think we're going to get to a point by the end of this generation. Put it this way, again, I can't go into details, but some big multiplayer online games are already selling more than 80% digital units. I'm not kidding you. 80% or higher of their sales are going digital only on not single player stuff so much, right? I'm talking about the big online multiplayer type focused games. You're already starting to see that type of thing happen. I think we're going to be at a period at the end of this generation where even single player games outside Nintendo, it's going to be rare to sell less than 70% of your units digital. Far Cry just sold 66% of its digital units on Xbox. It was already almost at 70%. So physical only charts, I mean, they're just becoming less and less relevant. So I would say the early signs are that Call of Duty Vanguard appears, and this is just appears, like it might be selling less than Cold War, which of course was less than Modern Warfare 2019. But again, we can't say for sure until we get some PR and maybe some more visibility to what's happening. Do I think Battlefield 2042 can sell higher? It's going to be interesting. I would say probably not, simply because Battlefield 2042 doesn't seem like it's being well received. I played the beta. I thought the beta was very rough. And then the game right now is out for like early access players, and I'm seeing a ton of negativity around that too. If this game was a home run, like if Battlefield 2042 would have came out and been outstanding, the early metrics for this game were actually unreal. I would have told you, like, let's say this game was being heralded as the best Battlefield game ever. I actually think this was the year it possibly could have happened. I don't think it's being received well enough. So I don't think so. I'm going to still say Call of Duty comes out on top over Battlefield, just because Battlefield seems like it's not the game we were all hoping it would be. Okay. I think we had a super chat. Yep, super chat from Biglow25 here with a 5 super chat. I buy mostly all my games digital, and Microsoft Rewards usually gives me points, which I can use to buy gift cards and buy games with big $60 games give 6,000. Yeah, Bigelow. So even that could be a factor with Xbox Digital. There's a ton of factors, right? Tons of theories, even really, really respectable people who I won't name. I've had this conversation with, and they've even been like, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why you can debate it. I want to be clear here. I'm not saying every game has the gulf that we saw in digital sales out of the UK between PlayStation and Xbox. I'm not telling you every game's going to have this like 20% difference on ratio. I'm just saying, by and large, historically, Xbox has moved more digital. And yeah, Bigelow, it could be Microsoft Rewards being a factor. It could be Microsoft just did a better job early on of converting people over. It could be that PlayStation, hits different demographics. I mean, there's a million different theories you could have on why that is. I mean, years ago, first party games, again, I'm not going to go into details, but I've literally seen the NDA data on it. Years ago, there were first party Xbox games that were hitting crazy digital shares. Shares that at the time people didn't imagine games were selling at. And this was, I'm telling you, this was years ago. So, yeah, they just have. And PlayStation's made massive inroads on PlayStation. So I'm not like trying to undersell how big digital is for PlayStation. It's just ratio-wise, Xbox tends to be a little bit higher, though PlayStation still is going to be higher in raw units. So yeah, Bigelow, good shout out. That could totally be a factor. That is totally possible. Microsoft Rewards could be part of that too. All right, back to free questions because those super chats are cleared again. Ulfric Stormcloak. Todd Howard said they have plans for Fallout 5. Where would you like to see the next Fallout game take place? Very interesting question here, Ulfric. So for anyone that missed it, it's a great chat. Todd Howard had an awesome chat with IGN. It's like 40 minutes. Tons of stuff came out of this interview. One of them was that, yeah, it's not, keep in mind, whenever he said they have an idea, he literally called it a one sheet. What that means is they literally have a concept on paper of what they'd like Fallout 5 to be, but it sounds like that is like so pre-production, it's not even like actively being development, right? Todd Howard said, hey, yeah, we have a one sheet on Fallout 5. Obviously, Fallout 5 is going to happen at some point. It's a giant IP, but this is many, many years away. But it is still nice to hear that at least conceptually at Bethesda, they do have an idea of what they want Fallout 5 to be. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people say they'd love to see the Fallout universe in other locations than the United States. To me, that totally makes sense. However, I think that would maybe be better to do with like expansions. And I know that sounds weird, but part of the appeal of Fallout is it is that like 50s post-Americana destroyed world feel, right? Like that's part of the setting of what makes Fallout is it's that whole, the 50s propaganda about like the way the world worked and everything was so perfect, and which as we know wasn't true, but that in like stark contrast to the nuclear Fallout world that we have. It's just kind of part of the identity of what Fallout is. So I'm not 100% opposed to Fallout going outside the US. However, in that particular game, it does kind of feel like US just makes sense for the setting, for just the way that game feels. But I definitely would like them to see something very different than what they've done in Fallout 3 and 4, which were both like East Coast games, right? They definitely need to go somewhere totally different in the US if they do. We had New Vegas, which was out west. So maybe you go to the south. Maybe you go somewhere else. But yeah, it needs to definitely get away from the East Coast. Like, we've already had a game in DC. We've already done East Coast. We need to get away from there. So where they go, I don't really care so much, except for I think it probably should stay in the US. But what would be very cool is if the expansions for Fallout 5 were outside the US, right? Maybe still keep Fallout 5 located somewhere in the US for that feel and that vibe that we associate with Fallout, but then have the expansions, like big expansions, go outside the country and see other parts of the world. That would be amazing. I would love to see something like that. Because there is the big question, right? What is the rest of the world like in the Fallout universe? So you could play around with that. And I wouldn't be 100% opposed to Fallout 5 not being in the US, right? If they set even the main game somewhere else, still would be cool. They would just have to really change up the vibe, right? Because the whole Fallout vibe has that 50s US feel. So it'd have to be a lot different than what normal Fallout is. Okay. I think we had a super chat drop. Let me hit that super chat. Wow, Mariano Pampa with a 10. Thank you so much, Mariano. Hey, Benji. With lack of physical collector's editions for Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, do you think Xbox is done with physical collector's editions? Oh, great question. Hope you're having a great day, brother. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you for that, for the 10 super chat. It's very generous, Mariano. And thank you for the kind words. Yeah. Are they done with physical collector's editions? They could be. They could be. You know, this goes back into our conversation that we've had a lot this chat about Xbox and digital. Like, here's the thing. When the UK sales results come out for Forza Horizon 5, I can already see the headlines that are going to come out about it being a giant bomb. And same thing with Halo Infinite. I'm telling you, you're going to see tons of people run around and call Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 bombs. I'm literally telling you, you're going to see it. Won't be surprised if both Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 are 80% plus digital share. Would not surprise me at all, considering some of the stuff I've seen from first-party Xbox on digital splits on prior games. Would not be shocked if 80% of the units on these are digital only. So, yeah, physical. Are they done with physical collector's editions? I hope not. I'm still someone that buys a lot of physical games. I buy digital as well. I buy physical literally actually basically because I get a discount. I work in retail, so I literally get a discount off every single game I buy physical. So, hey, I mean, that adds up when you buy as many games as I do. But the industry just keeps moving more and more and more digital. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you'll see many physical collector's editions from them anymore. It's a great question, Mariano. I would like to see them do it, right? I would like to see them do that because I think even if you don't do big runs, I think people really value that, right? You look at like the Horizons Forbidden West Collector's Edition, that thing sold out like instantly. You look at like the Elden Ring Collector's Edition, that thing sold out like instantly. Like there's still a chunk of the market that really likes to get those, you know, big Collector's Edition games. So I don't think Microsoft should abandon that. I think it's a mistake. Maybe you don't print like millions of these things, but at least have the option. There are a lot of collectors out there. So hopefully not, Mariano. Hopefully not. Biglow25 with a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Biglow. Oh, wow. I just saw a side note here, but I really like this about the Fallout. I just saw this from Pieter. Fallout 5 Texas. I really like that. I really like that, Pieter. Fallout 5 Texas, that would be very cool. Totally different vibe than what we got out of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, right? That's what I mean. Like, you can keep Fallout still in the US and have its, like, Fallout identity, but still feel very different. I do like that, Pieter. Fallout 5 Texas, that sounds... You could do a lot of interesting stuff there. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Hummersley Ford says Fallout 5 New York. That would be very cool too because we haven't seen New York and it's a giant city. I kind of like the Texas one a little bit more, Hamish, just because I think it would feel way different than 3 and 4. And New York would too, but I think it'd feel way different. But those are both great ideas. Yeah, Texas and New York are both great ideas. Okay. Bigelow here with a 5 super chat. I really like that Texas one. Xbox investment looks to have increased. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. To increase in their first party and global publishing is interesting with all these leaks from Jeff Grubb and Jez Corden. I mentioned this a while ago, y'all. The amount of Xbox games that are coming are staggering. It's literally staggering. And I had someone comment to me on Twitter today, and they were like, Benji, what's the deal? You're talking about Xbox so much lately. And it's just because Xbox has more news right now, right? Like anyone that follows me, it kind of comes in waves, right? There's times where I'm tweeting about PlayStation all the freaking time, and I feel like I'm barely covering Xbox, and I feel a little guilty about it. And then right now, we're in a phase where it's like a ton of freaking Xbox news. It's just a barrage of Xbox, right? You have Forza Horizon 5 doing crazy. You got Halo Infinite right around the corner, right? Like there's just, and then you have all these leaks about games that are coming up. Just tons and tons of games are coming to Xbox this generation. I'm telling you, tons. There's just a lot to talk about with Xbox. While right now, there's not a lot for me to tweet about PlayStation. Like I'm going to be tweeting about PlayStation a ton next year, right? 2022, you get that Horizon Forbidden West, you get God of War, you get Gran Turismo. Like I'm going to be talking about PlayStation a ton next year. Right now, there's just not a lot for me to talk about with PlayStation. I'm not one of those guys that writes many just random hype tweets. Like you have some accounts that are really focused on one platform where they're just tweeting a lot about like that platform and hyping up the fan base for that, which I totally get. In fact, I follow some of those people and I love those types of people. But for me, my feed is like primarily industry driven, right? It's like, what's the big picture of the industry? What's hot right now? What's the big news today? What's the big news this week? Like that's really what my account's about. And right now, there's just a lot of freaking Xbox news. There's a lot. So yeah, the investment coming for Xbox first party is crazy. I won't leak all the games here in case some of y'all still want surprises, but there is a ton of games that are leaking. And it's going to be a crazy generation for Xbox. I'm not telling you it's going to be better than PlayStation. I ain't telling you it's going to be better than Nintendo. Who knows? That's all going to be up to each person's own opinion. But here's the thing. I'm literally telling you right now, you can't do Xbox has no games this gen. It ain't going to work. So if you don't like Xbox or something, you're going to have to find a different reason or form of messaging because the no games thing is just not going to work, right? This is going to be an amazing generation across the board. Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation all are going to be just firing out tons of games. So investment went way up for Xbox. Yeah, investment went way up for Xbox first party. We already knew that in terms of buying studios, but they're also partnering with tons of independent and third parties funding games and then having them Xbox exclusive. So yeah, Bigelow, no doubt. Tons and tons of games coming from Xbox. Tons. Tons coming from PlayStation too. So again, this isn't like an anti-PlayStation thing because you look at all the partnerships they have, right? Jade Raymond, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, once those start unfolding and we start getting the news on that, I'll be tweeting about PlayStation all the time. There's just not much PlayStation news right now. All right, Jim Brown. Hi, Benji. Do you think that Forza Horizon 5 will be the biggest launch of any game for Xbox? No, Halo Infinite will beat it. Or do you think another game could surpass it? Yes, Halo Infinite will beat it next month. Halo Infinite's going to beat it next month. The big question, though, is after that, right? Can anything match Forza Horizon 5 or Halo Infinite in the coming years? That's going to be tough, right? Maybe Starfield. Starfield's going to be your wild card. Put it this way, if Starfield will beat Forza Horizon. That I know for sure. Will it beat Halo? That's an interesting question, right? That's an interesting debate to have. Oh, man, that is interesting. How is Starfield going to compare to Halo? Just because Starfield's single player only, you know, that's a real wild card, whereas Halo's going to get so much momentum off that free-to-play early. Again, will Halo Infinite be able to keep its high player count, you know, a year down the road? I literally have no idea. But is it going to get massive engagement in that first week to 2 weeks? Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So can Starfield match Halo Infinite with that free-to-play multiplayer? That is such an interesting question. Jim, here's what I'll say. Again, I'm telling you right now, unless Halo Infinite is like literally horrible, which I've played the game numerous times, so I literally know it's not, at least in regards to multiplayer, it will beat Forza Horizon 5. But can anything past that match Forza and Halo? Starfield will beat Forza, but I don't know if it'll beat Halo. We'll have to see. If Halo was just Game Pass and buying, if there was no free-to-play component, I would say Starfield has a real shot at beating Halo. That free-to-play component, in terms of total players, that's a real wild card, Jim. That's a real wild card. So I don't know. Past that. I don't know past that. Michael Yu. It's pretty much a no-brainer at this point that Forza Horizon 5 will chart in November NPD. If you had to predict, do you think it would chart in the top 5, Benji? That is the big question, Michael Yu. Is Forza Horizon 5 going to make the November NPD charts? There's no doubt about it. It absolutely is. The ranking, though, is going to be tough. I saw some people replying to my tweets, and they're like, here comes, Forza is going to be number 1 in NPD. No. Forza's not even going to be close to number 1, y'all. Number 1 is going to be Call of Duty. Number 2 or 3, it's going to be a toss-up between Battlefield and Pokemon. Those are going to be real competitive. I'm really interested to see which place is higher there. So there's your top 3 already locked. Those are your top 3 games in November. It's going to be Call of Duty, it's going to be Battlefield, and it's going to be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. That is your top 3. Can Forza slip into that 4th or 5th position? To me, if this place is top 5 in sales, because keep in mind, a lot of people are playing Forza and they didn't buy it, right? Game Pass is a huge factor here. There's just no debating it. Did Forza sell a lot of copies? Yeah, we have ample evidence of that. Steam is hitting the 2nd highest ever for an Xbox game, and those are only sales. You cannot be playing this game on Steam through Game Pass. You had to have bought the game, and it's doing huge numbers on Steam. So clearly Forza Horizon 5 sold a lot, but there's just no debating it. A ton of people played this on Game Pass as well. So can it place top 5 NPD? Here's what I'll say, Michael Yu. If you see Forza Horizon 5 in the top 5 of NPD, that is a fantastic result. I'm not 100% locked in on that yet because we are in holiday season. Sports games are going to have huge momentum this type of month. You're going to see Madden putting up crazy numbers, FIFA crazy numbers, NBA crazy numbers. So if it happens, if top 5 happens, amazing result for Forza Horizon 5. But I'm telling you right now, y'all, it is not placing number 1. It's not even going to touch Call of Duty in terms of sales. Not even going to touch it in terms of sales. And again, I cannot see this selling more than Pokemon or Battlefield either. In fact, I know it's not. It's not going to sell more than those. So top 5 maybe. Top 3, no. It will not hit top 3. And then a great question with how much they forward right after. What does Forza Horizon 5 tell us in terms of Xbox first-party sales? Clearly, they can still sell a lot when the game is super good and it's it's a well-received franchise, right? Is every Xbox game going to sell a ton of units? No, right? We've seen Flight Sim have good sales on Steam. Doesn't seem like it sold a ton on console. Psychonauts 2, again, not a huge seller. But it does tell us if you have a big, huge flagship game and it's super well received, can it still sell a lot of units? Yeah. Is it going to sell the levels of God of War or the biggest Nintendo games? I don't know about that when you do have Game Pass, as an option. But can you still sell, did Forza Horizon 5 sell a few million units? I do think so, yeah. Yeah, I think even though it has 7 million players, it didn't sell that much. But did it sell over 2 million in its launch week? I do think so. So you can still sell a few million. Yeah, you can still sell a few million. But, that doesn't mean every game's going to be a giant seller. But the big ones can still sell, yeah. I think we had a super chat drop. We did. Here, Benji with a 5 super chat. Benji, Bloomberg reports that Sony will revise its PS5 forecast due to chip shortage as big Nintendo. Shortage will go on in 2023. What impact for gaming? Yeah, so anyone further that missed this, Sony has, again, this is a Bloomberg report. Bloomberg reports at this point, unless they come from Jason Schreier, need to be taken with a grain of salt. I'm not being a hater, but Bloomberg has been a little all over the board with some of their reporting. This could be a locked-in thing too, by the way. Maybe this got confirmed afterwards. It's entirely possible I missed that, but I did see the Bloomberg report. It's not a giant revision down, but from what they said, I think it was from 15 million down to like 14 point something. Yeah, I've been telling y'all guys, these shortages are not ending anytime soon. You know, will Sony have to revise down as much as Nintendo? I don't know. Again, I don't know if this has been confirmed and I missed that report. But shortages are a very real deal. Yeah, very real deal. They're going to continue all the way through 2022, deep into the year at least deep into 2022. And as Benji said here, maybe into 2023. What impact will it have on gaming? You know, I mentioned this before. I think the main worry would be next-gen only exclusive games hitting as high as they could be. Now, to be clear, and again, we just got more evidence of this yet again with many games that have launched recently. The new consoles are selling more software than the old platforms. I think right now, a lot of people that have older consoles, even if they haven't gotten the new ones yet, they're holding off on buying new games because they want to play them on the new console once they get it. So the question is those big next-gen only game software going to be somewhat hindered just because maybe cross-gen doesn't even save it, right? Because maybe people, even if they have an old system, they're like, dude, I want to wait. Like, yeah, I can technically play it now, but I don't have to shell out $60 right now. And if I can get a PS5 in a couple months or an Xbox, I want to wait for that. So that to me is the biggest question. Could it impact the total, right? I think the install base is going to be big enough to support next-gen only games. Like, I think we are going to be there, especially next year. Right now, it still does make sense to kind of do cross-gen. But once we get past, like, the halfway point of next year, install base will be big enough to support next-gen only games. But will they be able to get as high as they could have if there could have been more consoles out there? That, I think, is the big danger, potentially, right? Danger Man. Clearly, Benji is a Microsoft shill / sarcasm. Yeah, no, trust me, I hear that all the time. And I kid you not. I kid you not. This is what's funny. It comes from everywhere. I take bullets all over the place. Like, if I'm in a mode where there's a ton of PlayStation users, I'm tweeting about PlayStation a lot, then I hear how I'm a PlayStation fanboy. Literally, I'm not kidding you. I was on Xbox Chatter Days with Miles, which was awesome. I'm like super grateful for that. This was months ago now. But for Windows Central, I was on that. And he told me, I wasn't reading the chat, but he said one of the very first comments on Xbox Chatter Days, like when I joined that show, was he had somebody in the chat said, "Why would you have a PlayStation fanboy on an Xbox show?" Like, dude, I just hear it no matter what. If I'm tweeting about Xbox a bunch because they have news, I'm an Xbox fanboy. If I tweet about PlayStation a bunch because they're PlayStation news, I'm a PlayStation fanboy. It's unavoidable, but it's okay. It actually doesn't bother me, Danger Man. The only times it bothers me is if, like, I feel like people are missing my point on something because they're reading into it, them being biased about something. But other than that, you know, you can't be a public person and not take nonstop heat, right? It's impossible. You got to just kind of get used to it. All right. Back to free questions because we're cleared on Super Chats. Chris Jenkins, got your pre-order for the Gucci Xbox yet? No. Chris, wasn't that thing like 10 grand I think I saw, which is insane? JCat saying hi, chat. What is up, JCat? AK01 says Forza Horizon 5 is now across 7 million. Yeah, total guess here, AK. I think that probably by the end of the weekend, Forza Horizon 5 is probably going to get to like that 8 to 9 million players by the end of the weekend. So for its first like full week, yeah, and that's including early access, probably 8 to 9 million. Sounds about right. Forza Horizon 5 has been gaining about 1 million a day. That's about the pace it's been on. It's about 1 million players a day. So 8 to 9 million sounds about right. It sounds about right, AK. Which is nuts. Keep in mind, Forza Horizon 4 had 2 million in its first week plus early access. So we're talking, if it hits over 8 million, we're talking over 4 times as many players as Forza Horizon 4 had its launch week. Obviously, Game Pass growth is a huge factor there, but I also think that this is selling more than Forza Horizon 4. So it's like a nice double whammy for this game. It's getting a huge boost from Game Pass, and then the brand itself has become so much stronger. I actually also think, factoring in digital sales, it's probably selling more than Forza Horizon 4 as well. So great result. Creative Monster, happy Friday, man. This is such a great year for gaming. It is creative. Despite all the delays, it's still been an amazing year. Gusby, how does Forza Horizon launch day numbers rank among the greats? It totally depends how you look at it. So in terms of sales, is this going to like stack up to like the biggest Nintendo and PlayStation games? It's not. I'm just going to tell you it's not, right? Even if it's selling a bunch. Like I said, I think this game very well could have sold over 2 million units in its first week, which, keep in mind, for a console exclusive game, and which is available on PC as well, you can't not factor that out. But for a game that's not fully multi-platform, and for a game that has that Game Pass option, I mean, over 2 million in a week, if you sold that, that's like great, right? I think that's a great result, especially for a racing game. So, but is that going to stack up to like, the biggest PlayStation, the biggest Nintendo, or the biggest third-party games in terms of raw sales? No, right? It's not going to stack up compared to that. In terms of like total players, though, I mean, if this hits like I said, 8 to 9 million in its first week, total players, we're talking about one of the biggest launches in the industry in years, right? Is it the biggest? No. If you look at something like Grand Theft Auto 5 or like even Cyberpunk, which hit something crazy at launch, like, is it the biggest? No. But is it among, in terms of total players, among the biggest launches we've seen in recent years? Yeah, it would be. It would be one of the biggest in total players, and a huge part of that's obviously Game Pass. SCE to AUX, the Metroid sales numbers from Bowser seem so off. 800,000 is nothing to yawn at, but for a game leading all charts and leading even some multiplats, that seems low. Oh no, that's a lot. That's just in the US, SCE. Keep in mind, the total Metroid sales, like globally, will be much higher than 800,000. It was 850,000 in just the US in just 1 month, right? So that's actually really good. It's very rare for a game to sell over 1 million units in the US in a month, like extraordinarily rare. Are there games that do it? Yeah, there's actually games that do way over that, right? You look at like a Call of Duty or something, and it's like several million in its launch month in just the US. But like by and large, most games, except for the biggest fully multi-platform games, by the way, or the biggest Nintendo exclusives or PlayStation exclusives, very rare you're getting over 1 million units in just the US in your launch month. So for Metroid, it's a series that's traditionally very niche, right? So traditionally, Metroid's not a big franchise. To get close to 1 million, 850,000 in just the US in a month, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. Put it this way, Nintendo would not be giving you this PR unless they were thrilled, okay? They would not put that number out there. So no, it's great. It's a great result for Metroid. Now, if that was globally, I would say it'd be not like mind-blowing, right? If globally its launch month it did 800,000, I'd be like, I mean, it's cool, but it's not like mind-blowing. But for just the US, that's really good. That's really good. David Rodriguez, how are you enjoying Forza Horizon 5? I think it's my game of the year. And I would have never told you that before it came out. I love the Forza Horizon games, but I would have never imagined in my life I could give a racing or driving game of the year. But I think it is. It's that or Returnal. I think Forza's edging it for me over Returnal. I'm not saying outright it is yet. I would need to think on it before I make my full list. I think Forza Horizon 5 is my game of the year with Returnal as my runner-up. I think. It's good. It's really freaking good. Really good. But it could still go to Returnal, but I think it's going to be Forza Horizon. JCat, don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, I would appreciate it. Dislikes you can't see anymore, but I can still see them. But if you like doing these chats and you want to help the channel get more visibility, make sure you hit that like. Josiah says, love the shirt. Thank you. I thought it'd be appropriate. I knew there was going to be a ton of Forza talk today. So I was like, you know what? Good day to wear the Xbox shirt. We're talking Forza. Let's wear Xbox. All right, I'm going to, since we're already at an hour and 15, I'm still going to answer more questions because there's a ton in chat. But I'm going to be slightly more selective, trying to hit stuff we haven't talked about yet. Or like a new spin on things or people that haven't gotten questions yet. Here's an interesting question from Ryan. Ryan Thompson. There's a rumor that Halo Infinite multiplayer will be free to play on Monday for its 20th anniversary. Do you think it could be true, or do you think the game would launch together? Ryan, Monday seems way too early. That's over not over, but it's almost a month until the actual game launches. I can't see them doing that, Ryan. Like, that would be insane to launch the multiplayer that much before campaign. I do think it is going to launch earlier. Monday, though, seems nuts. Hard for me to imagine that, Ryan. My guess is that you're going to see, like we talked about with Forza Horizon 5, and they're kind of leaked that there was some sort of early access Halo Infinite bundle. You saw Nebellion tweet about that. My total guess here is they're going to do a early access to the multiplayer paid thing where you get like the first battle pass and like some cosmetic items for it, and you also get early access. But my guess is that's going to be like 4 or 5 days early access before the game comes out. It's hard for me to imagine they do almost a month before the game early access. That to me seems a little far-fetched, Ryan. But I do think there's going to be an early access bundle with the battle pass and stuff, but not until like 4 or 5 days before the game, I think. That would be insane, though. That'd be nuts. Benji's asking, do I have indications of hardware and Game Pass numbers post Forza Horizon 5? I don't, Benji. Xbox consoles, just like PlayStation consoles, at least here in the US, are a total sellout. As soon as stores get Series X or S in the US, both of them in the US, S not so much worldwide, but in the US, they're gone immediately. Hardware is so hard to gauge because it's just about whatever they ship. And Game Pass numbers, again, almost no one knows that outside Microsoft. We basically found that out with the whole debacle with Take-Two, where we thought that Zelnick was leaking the number, and it turns out Zelnick didn't even know. He's the CEO of Take-Two, one of the biggest third-party publishers in the industry, and it turns out he didn't even actually know the number. So seems like outside of Microsoft, no one really knows that true Game Pass subscriber number. They might have some ideas, but like the actual number, no idea. Benji, I would imagine Game Pass got a huge lift considering the player numbers we're seeing out of Forza Horizon 5, but I have no idea what that number is going to be. No clue. I really hope by the end of the year, Microsoft gives us a number after Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite have had time to have that effect. If you don't hear a Game Pass subscriber number by the end of the year, I think it's not meeting their expectations again. That would be my guess. Because those are massive launches. That should, theoretically super boost your subscriber count. So if we go into next year, maybe they wait until like January, right? So they have the full end of year number. But put it this way, if you don't hear a number by very early next year from Microsoft on Game Pass subscribers, I think it's still missing expectations. Infinity Doc, thoughts on Project Midnight from Compulsion / Jez's leak. I won't leak it here in case some people want to be surprised about exactly what it is, but the concept sounds awesome. Now, I was someone that actually did not like We Happy Few. That was, from Compulsion. I loved the world. Like, I thought We Happy Few was so creative. The world itself, like when I was playing it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. But I really hated the gameplay of We Happy Few. So, but I'm still optimistic for their next game because, they're still like a newer company and they're kind of finding their way. So, concept-wise, I'm not surprised that Project Midnight looks amazing because, like I said, the setting of We Happy Few was so good. I just hope the gameplay is a lot better. I hope they really step up the gameplay from We Happy Few. Deadly Eight's asking if I think Amazon or Apple could buy Sony. I don't think so. Do they have the money? Yes. Will they do it? I don't think so. I don't think so, Deadly Eight. I don't think so. At all. That's like way too big of a purchase. Way, way too big. I can't see something like that. Zord, what is your TV? I have the Vizio P Series Quantum is what TV I have. When that TV came out, it was the best TV basically you could get on the budget. It wasn't the best TV on the market. There was better ones on the market. It's the P Series Quantum from a couple years ago. But basically for the price to performance at the time, it was one of the best TVs you could get. Now I am going to be getting a new TV next year. I haven't decided if I'm going to go OLED or not. I know it sounds like blasphemy, but my daughter, who is literally like, she's 3, so next year she'll be 4, uses that TV a bunch. And my wife uses the TV a bunch. So I don't necessarily trust them with an OLED because they'll just leave it on pause for like huge amounts of time. So I really don't know that I want to risk burning. So I'm probably going to still stick with an LED TV, even as amazing as OLED is. Unless I put an OLED in like this room and turn this into a gaming room. But yeah, the one I have right now is P Series Quantum. Sounds PP7 here with a little more in-depth question about the remaster. Weeks ago, there was another rumor that Red Dead Redemption is the next Rockstar remaster. I do believe that. Do you expect a more simplistic remaster, or will Rockstar make it to look and play more like Red Dead Redemption 2 and reference Arthur? That would be way cooler. If they did like a, not a full-on remake, but they added even a little bit of dialogue and stuff like that to reference Arthur, made it a little more advanced, that'd be sweet, but I don't expect it, especially seeing how low effort it appears the Grand Theft Auto trilogy was. I just think it's going to be a really nice 4K, 60 FPS, you know, up the textures kind of thing remaster. That would be all I expect. But it would be amazing if it was more than that. Darcy's just saying, I hope I have a great day. I hope you are too, Darcy. Logan Hardy, hey Benji, what do you want from the web swinging in Spidey 2? Honestly, Logan, those games are so freaking good. I just want an expansion of what Spidey 1 and Miles Morales were. I mean, those two games are literally incredible in my opinion. Both of them. I actually, in some ways, even liked Miles Morales more than Spidey 1, which is, I know, kind of blasphemy, but I think there was some things, some elements of Miles Morales that felt even better than the original Spider-Man game. So, honestly, just an evolution. I don't think they have to radically reinvent the wheel. I think just bigger. I think, you know, being able to play it as we can see, it seems Peter and Miles seems like an amazing addition. I really wonder how they handle that. If you can kind of pick like per mission who you're going to play as, or if like, you know, certain story beats you're only playing Peter and then other parts you're only playing Miles. Like, I'm really curious how they tackle all that. Plus you have to factor into Venom. How does he play into all this? Because we know he's in the game. So honestly, they're so good. Just expand everything, right? Just make everything a little bit more awesome, and I'm already in. Akbar, do you think the success story of Playground Games can convince other studios to be acquired by Microsoft? Not necessarily, Akbar, because the Forza Horizon games were amazing before they were actually part of Microsoft first party, right? They put out the first few games not as a first party studio for Xbox, right? They didn't buy them until later on. So I think that studio was just always incredibly talented. The thing is it's just acquisitions it's just got to be something that the studio feels comfortable with, right? That's going to totally vary. There's going to be some studios that want to sell, some studios that just flat out want to remain independent. some that changed their mind with time. I mean, there was a time Insomniac did not want to be acquired. Ted Price even was on record, actually more than once, saying how he wanted Insomniac to remain an independent team. He didn't want to be acquired. And then, you know, with time, just like anyone else in life, you change your mind. Something makes more sense business-wise. And now Insomniac's part of First Party. So there's just like so many elements that go into acquisitions. I don't think Playground, like Forza being super successful, will make someone be like, I didn't want to sell before, but now I do. It's just going to completely vary by studio. Legendary No Sleep. How and when do you think PlayStation will respond to Xbox Game Pass? You know, here's one where I'm a bit of an outlier compared to a lot of people. I don't expect them to, really. And I know that sounds like blasphemy, but like, PlayStation games sell so well. I don't know why they would. And I know that sounds weird. Like, they have PS Now, but as we all know, PS Now isn't directly comparable to Game Pass. You know, the big draw at the end of the day of Game Pass is Xbox games day one on the service. Don't get me wrong, third-party games are good. They're important. They're, like, you know, they help. But, like, the main draw, the main selling point of Game Pass is the fact that, yeah, you can play Forza Horizon right now and spend nothing more than your subscription, and Halo Infinite when it comes out, and Starfield when it, like, right? These are the main draws. So for Sony to go down that road to truly have a Game Pass competitor, they'd have to do the same thing with their games. And I just don't think they're going to do that. You see their games selling now 20 plus million units. I just think Sony and Microsoft have different views on the industry, and they will continue to tackle it in slightly different ways. I think they're going to continue to make PS Now more attractive. I think you're going to see more first-party games hit it and hit it quicker. You know, my prediction is going to be to see most games hit PS Now eventually after like a year, right? We kind of saw that with The Last of Us, right? Where it was like just, I think, slightly over a year, you know, by a few months that game hit the service. That's what I think will be like the norm moving forward. A year after launch, it's on PS Now. So I think they'll keep making PS Now more attractive, keep getting bigger third-party games on it. But will we see PlayStation flagship, Horizon, God of War hitting PS Now or something else day one? Not anytime soon. If they ever do that, I think it's years down the road. So that's one spot where I'm different than a lot of people. I don't expect a complete, we have to go this way too, because it's just different business models. Dreamwalker, Chris Dring didn't tweet out that percentage. You can figure out that percentage using math in an article written by Chris Dring. Jose, what are the sales numbers for Sony games on PC? Did Death Stranding sell more on PC? So something that got tweeted out recently, which actually isn't the sales numbers, was some estimates by Steam Spy. I want to really be clear that that's an estimate and that is not actual unit sales. So be very careful on that. We don't know exact units on any of the PlayStation Studios titles on PC. What we know is that they seem to have basically all been successful for budget. Have they been as big so far as the biggest Xbox games on PC? No, but there's kind of a big factor there. The ones that are going to PC so far are all big single-player focused games like Horizon, Death Stranding, Days Gone, and they're also coming a lot later. So like if you look at the biggest Xbox games on PC, right, if you look at Master Chief Collection, if you look at Forza Horizon 5, Sea of Thieves, right, all these, the Age of Empires 4, the biggest games on PC, they are bigger than PlayStation. But again, a lot of multiplayer in those games I just named, and also a lot of those games are day one on PC. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. They've done well for sure. Not quite as well as the biggest Xbox ones, but very good and still worth doing in my opinion for sure. JCat, do you have any idea how Shin Megami Tensei 5 is doing in the US? Also, do you think Spider-Man will be enough to help the Avengers? JCat, I thought that Spider-Man trailer didn't look great. I hate to say it, but I don't think it looked great. Spider-Man looked... I thought his costume looked good, but his movement looked really weird in that trailer. My hunch is that Spider-Man will give Avengers a boost, but kind of just like a short-term boost. Not enough to like quote quote save the game, right? You've seen Square Enix again just even recently say that they view that game as a disappointment and underperformance. There's just no doubt about it. It was. Spider-Man ain't gonna be enough to turn that around. Maybe a short little boost, but yeah, not huge. Shin Megami Tensei 5 I think is gonna do really good for the franchise. I think it'll be the best selling ever, not counting Persona. You know, you're seeing everyone talk about Shin Megami Tensei 5 Persona, like mocking IGN and stuff, which I totally get. They are different franchises, okay? They're different franchises. They have some overlap in themes and ideas and things like that, but they're very different games. But out of the regular, true Shin Megami Tensei games, I think 5 is going to be the biggest one ever. I don't expect this to be as big as Metroid Dread. I want to say that just to compare it to another recent Nintendo published game. I know Atlas is making Shin Megami Tensei 5, but Nintendo, I believe, is the publisher. I'm expecting less than Dread, but the best ever for that series. So really good. Really good. I think this is actually a really interesting question. Really interesting. Randy Newman. Do you think the lack of Western RPGs on PlayStation will start to hurt with Xbox having so many of them? Avowed, Starfield, Outer Worlds 2, and Exiles, Unreal 5 RPG, Elder Scrolls 6, etc. Here's what I'll say, Randy. And I've been saying this a lot lately, and I really truly believe it. Do I think it will hurt PlayStation? No. But here's what I do think. I'm telling you all, I expect a ton of cross ownership this generation. I think you're going to see a ton of people own PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series consoles. So will it hurt PlayStation? No. But does that help Xbox? I mean, yeah. If you like Western RPGs, it's going to be undebatable in the coming years. Like, Xbox is going to be a powerhouse in that genre. So, but I don't think that hurts PlayStation. I think we're going to see a ton of cross ownership. Last generation, you could honestly skip Xbox One and you weren't missing out on much. I literally barely played Xbox last generation until the Xbox One X came out. And then I was playing a lot of third-party games on Xbox because of the One X. But like the first like half of that generation, I was all in on PlayStation. And even by the end of the generation, PlayStation was just, in my opinion, far superior to Xbox when it came to first-party output. Like if someone asked me and they were just like a total random, they were like, I can only buy one. And am I missing a ton by skipping Xbox this generation? I would have flat out told them you're not missing a lot. Like if you don't buy an Xbox One, is there some cool games? Forza Horizon series, for example, Gears 5 I thought was great. But would I say you're missing so many games? I'd be like, no, you know, you can just get a PlayStation and probably be pretty all right. I don't believe that will be true this generation. I think if you skip PlayStation, you're going to be missing a ton of awesome games. And I think if you skip Xbox, unless you're a PC gamer, but if you're just console, if you skip Xbox, you're going to be missing a ton of freaking games this generation too. If it's possible, and it's not possible for everyone, but I think you're going to see a lot of cross ownership, Randy. A lot of people owning both this time around. A lot. Dreamwalker had a bunch of questions about this. Chris String did not tweet out 60%. What he tweeted was a tweet about Xbox having a higher digital share in the UK than PlayStation. And then in his article, he gave a bunch of data, and you can use the math to get the exact digital percentages. Which I don't know if he's going to do that again. Because I don't know if he factored in that people would figure out the exact split. But hopefully he does, because that will give us just even more data down the road. But no, it takes a couple more steps to get there, Dream. A couple more steps. But this has been known forever. Like, Dream, I'm telling you right now, this isn't a theory. Anyone that does analysis that has access to NDA data could all tell you the same thing. Like, everybody could. Xbox traditionally has higher digital than PlayStation. It's been a known thing for years in the in the sales community, like especially people that see NDA data. It's been known for a long time, years and years. The decline of Call of Duty in Japan was so huge this year that digital increase can't account for the whole drop, in my opinion, from JCat. I agree, JCat. I agree. JCat, I totally agree. In Japan specifically, I don't think that digital could have made up the decline. In the UK, it's a little interesting because it dropped compared to Cold War, but it wasn't as giant of a drop. I think it was like 20-something%. This is off the top of my head. I think Call of Duty declined 20-something% from last year. That is theoretically possible. It could have made up the gap in that market. I agree with you, JCat. In Japan, there's no way. There's no way, like, if you look at past years, that Vanguard is selling as well. Totally agree. UK, it's like possible. I still think Vanguard is probably a bit down from Cold War, because a 20-something% shift in 1 year does seem unlikely to me, but I could see maybe a 10% shift. So maybe it's still down from Cold War in the UK, but not as bad as it looks. But yeah, probably even in the UK. That's why I said the early metrics look like it's probably selling worse than Cold War. I just didn't want to say it's a lock globally because we don't know that for sure, but it does look like in Japan, I think it's for sure. Globally, we're starting to get some signs it's, yeah, probably true, even with digital. All right. I think we're going to be close to wrapping chat. This is the long one. Thank you, everyone. There was a ton of questions. I knew we had a lot to get to, though. Let me hit. I think there's just a couple left. Couple left. I think we mostly got to them. Oh wow, Michael Yu is saying that that it is confirmed that Halo Infinite's multiplayer will be November 15th. If that's true, that is nuts. That is nuts. Oh, I missed a super chat. Benji just said this. 2 from Benji. Nate the Hate says Halo Infinite multi on Monday. That is freaking nuts. Dreamwalker, it's not wrong. Dreamwalker is like going off in chat about 40% digital is wrong and 60% Xbox is digital. No, I'm telling you it's right, Dreamwalker. It's not a theory. We have the number. It's what it is. It was 66% digital Xbox and 40-something%. It's not in a Chris String tweet. You have to read his article, and then you have to do a bunch of math, and you get to it. You get to the exact digital percentage. It's not a theory. We have the number. Okay. Benji, though, with it too. Nate the Hate says Halo Infinite multi on Monday. That is shocking to me. I cannot believe they're going to launch that a month early. But that's hype. That is so hype. That's crazy, though. I wonder when they're going to announce that. Are we sure about this, y'all? Are you all sure about this? They're going to shadow drop it on Monday? I feel like they would have to make that announcement today. You don't make announcements on weekends. Today's a Friday, and they're going to shadow drop on Monday? I mean, you could. You could do a shadow drop Monday, but I feel like for something that big, you have to make the announcement. Ooh, man. If they don't announce that today, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. All right, I got to wrap up a few more here because holy crap. Tons in chat. Tons in chat. And Dreamwalker, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to be mean whenever I say, like, we know the number and anything like that. I'm telling you. We know the number. If you really want to get more into it, you can go to InstallBase. InstallBase.com. It's a sales-focused forum. Just look at the newest UK charts thread on there, and you can read how we all broke it down. It's in the thread. All the math and all the data is there. InstallBase.com. I am on that forum. Though actually I might stop posting on that forum already. Not going to go into details. Lots of great people, but I may already leave install base. Forums are not a great spot for me, and I'm already potentially going to leave it. But it's a great forum. I do recommend it. Nothing against the forum. Okay. So Highlander had a super chat here, a 5. What do you think of the state of Marvel shows that Disney wants to do for Disney Plus? Think they're doing too much? It's a big question, Highlander. I do wonder about Marvel right now. Anyone that knows me, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I also love to follow things like the box office. Phase 4 has been very rocky for Marvel. It just has. So Black Widow was just okay, I thought. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, I watched Black Widow and I didn't think, wow, that movie sucked whenever I got out of it. But it was just okay. Like, it didn't blow me away. Then Shang-Chi was legitimately amazing, but the movie didn't have like an amazing international box office. Now, keep in mind, box office is suppressed right now in general. But even still, like, you know, it was a lot below what Bond is doing globally and a lot below like what Fast 9's doing globally. So Shang-Chi, I think was a good movie. It was amazing actually. But didn't have like an amazing box office. And then Eternals coming out being critically panned, which I really disagree with. I really enjoyed Eternals. Like, I hope they make a sequel to that. I do think it's flawed. I do think Eternals is not the best movie that Marvel's made. It's not even the best movie they made this year. I think Shang-Chi's better than Eternals. But I thought Eternals was better than Black Widow. Its Rotten Tomatoes score is shocking to me after seeing the movie. But again, it definitely wasn't a home run. Like, I didn't watch Eternals and think, wow, this is like the greatest Marvel movie, right? But I didn't think it was their worst. There's way worse MCU movies than that to me. Iron Man 2 is way worse than Marvel. Thor 2, or than Eternals. Thor 2 is worse than Eternals. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is worse than Eternals. I think Black Widow's worse than Eternals. Like, there's definitely worse Marvel movies than that. But it wasn't their best either. So again, you didn't have like a huge home run with Eternals. Phase 4 is just not going great right now. Now, good news for them is they have some massive heavy hitters coming up. You got Spider-Man right around the corner. You got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming up. You've got Thor Ragnarok. You know, you have more on the way. So we need to see how those do. But you have all that, plus you're throwing a million Disney Plus shows. I'm the kind of person that's going to watch all of it. But we need to see. I think Marvel's in a shaky spot right now. I think it's shaky. If Phase 4 doesn't start coming together well, they're in real danger here. Like, real danger. Like, legitimately. I think of losing a lot of the fan base. I don't think in terms of, like, the MCU dying, but, like, the MCU being the juggernaut it is, Phase 4 really needs to start pulling together. It does. Right now, it feels kind of all over the place. So, I'm a bit worried. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm going to watch all of it. I'm a huge Marvel fan, though. But they are in danger. Okay. All right. Do I have to get out of here? Are we good? Are we good? Stealth's in chat? I see people saying Stealth's in chat. Stealth 40K, what is up, Stealth? What is up, my man? Stealth's in chat. Great to see Stealth in chat. Great to see Stealth. What is up, man? Okay. Dude, there's so much in chat. We've been going for so long. Like, Infinity Doc's dropping on me. Remedy announced they're opening another studio. What in the world? Y'all know I love Remedy. Y'all know I love Remedy. That's huge for me. Love me some Remedy, dude. Alan Wake, my jam. Control, my jam. Okay, I think I gotta bounce. Like, there's so much. Y'all are still debating about the tweets. Guys, I love you. It's not in a tweet. Go to Installbase and read the UK thread and you'll find out how we got that exact number. I love you guys. But it is known. Go to installbase.com. Okay, I think we're going to... Yeah, Danger Man. Shang-Chi being the best of all the Marvel releases this year is surprising. I thought it'd be decent. I agree. Shang-Chi was amazing. Blew me away. I actually think it's one of the best Marvel movies. I put Shang-Chi definitely in that top 10. I'd have to think about it more if I'd put it in my top 5. Definitely in my top 10 MCU movies. Wow, how much before Jeff Grubb says Halo on Monday is true. That is nuts. I did not expect Halo on Monday. Wow. Okay, I need to bounce out of here and read all this. Okay, everyone. Thank you for an amazing chat. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all being so amazing. Like the video if you like doing these chats. Helps the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Like getting the subscriptions. And I'll see y'all soon, right? If you follow me on Twitter, I'll see you on Twitter basically probably in a couple minutes because I'm going to be tweeting. Or if you only subscribe to me here on YouTube, I'll see you next week. We'll be definitely back for a chat next week. I'm not sure what day, but we'll be back. And I'm out. All right. Stay safe. Play some games. I'll see you all soon. You all are amazing. You all rock. And I love y'all. Peace. Bye. Peace and love. Oh, and thanks for 30,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you so much. That's crazy. Past 30,000 this week. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, 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 bye. Bye. Gotta go. Bye, bye. Bye, bye. Bye. Bye.